This is Real Estate Rookie Show number 27. My name is Ashley Kerr, and I am here with my co-host, Felipe Mejia, who did not get burned on this episode today.
Oh my gosh. So
our guest is Aaron Chapman, and he hinted a little bit, before we started recording that he might just mention something about the biceps, but he didn't.
And I was like, score. It's fading
you got
away.
away free this time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I got away scot-free twice in a row, actually. So that's going to be great. But we have a great show today. Aaron Chapman talks about him and his wife like double house hacking with their multifamily that they purchased, losing their job in the middle of buying it and having to put the loan in another person's name. I won't give the secret out yet. And just pushing through those no's to finally get his yes, which ultimately resulted in getting the rental property.
And it's not only just with the financing on that one you were talking about where he lost his job, but he also can't get financing on another deal and gets seller financing when the lady originally told him no. He goes back to her with options. And I think that was my favorite part, as how he gave her options and didn't just say, hey, sorry, I can't do the deal, or this is my final offer, take this or leave it.
Aaron Chapman, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How are you guys?
Really good. Can you start off telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in real estate?
I'm 24 years old. I live 10 minutes out of Louisville in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I have 2 little dogs that I love, and I'm actually about to get married in October to my best friend. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, pretty excited about that. I got started in real estate a year ago is when I closed on our first property, a duplex here in Jeffersonville. And I got started, basically, I found BiggerPockets just by like happenstance, searching podcasts. And when I did, it was just all downhill from there. As soon as I found it, I was just a running start. I dug right in, got the books. Brandon Turner was like the epiphany, was the kick I needed to get me where I was going. So yeah, that's basically how I got started.
Is Brandon Turner the new Robert Kiyosaki?
I would say he's right there with Robert Kiyosaki. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 18. A teacher gave it to me. That really set me on the course to look for that sort of thing in life and to try to get out of the rat race. But I wasn't able to actually do it because I thought you had to have all this money and stuff. And then when I was 22, that's when I found BiggerPockets. And that's what let me know, like, hey, I can actually do this. I'm capable of this without being rich. So yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but our producer let me in on a little secret that you guys actually have something in common with recording BiggerPockets podcast episodes. So Aaron, your wife or your fiance actually surprised you, correct, for your birthday and submitted the application for this. And Felipe, his wife, actually direct messaged Brandon Turner on Instagram, and that's how he got on his episode.
I watched that episode. I watched your episode. Yes, I remember that now. I mean, I've seen a lot of the episodes,
so that's
but I can remember that now.
Me and Brandon's wife share a birthday. So my wife DM'd Brandon and told him if he could have like a 30-minute conversation with me. And he says typically he doesn't answer those things at all, but it just kind of like his wife had a birthday. I had the same birthday. Like it just kind of, the universe kind of put it together. And and it's funny because when he called me, I told him I didn't think it was him. And I don't remember if I actually hung up on him or was about to, but he was like, no, seriously, it's me. It's Brandon. And I was like, haha, really funny, like whatever. And I almost hung up on him, but yeah, exactly. But no, it's really cool that your wife put you on. So, shout out to the women in our lives that kind of hold it together.
And she even made a video too, because we love the applications with the YouTube video links to, kind of get to hear more about you.
She won't let me watch it.
She did awesome.
She won't let me see it. She said you can't see it.
Really?
So
oh, funny.
I'm still begging to see it. So
yeah, maybe after it airs. Yeah, it was. Okay, so let's get back into your story. What else how many units are you at now?
So we actually closed on the 16th of July on 3 units, and that completed the 5 doors. And we've actually got that fully tenanted now. Now I'm just looking to buy the next one. Just looked at a 4-plex, and then I'm doing some driving for dollars tonight, and I'm building out kind of a mailer list using driving for dollars right now.
What does that driving for dollars look like for you, Aaron? What do you do? Kind of give us a little bit of how that mechanics of that work.
Me and my partner actually partnered on the last deal, the 3-plex, with a good friend of mine. So what me and him do is we work together too. So basically, after work tonight, he gets off at 7. I'm going to go meet him. We have a criteria that we use, and then we just go, and, in our neighborhood, surrounding counties, kind of the area we're looking to invest. We drive, we look for our criteria, and then we get the address of the property. We kind of do it the hard way, put it in a Google Doc. Then we go home, hop on the county tax assessor website, put the address in, and then we get the owner, skip trace that, and then we're building a mailer list that way.
Kind of dig into your deals, what you do. Give us a background on yourself. Talk all things real estate in your life, and then we'll move on.
The first deal that I did was the duplex. We did that with FHA loan on a house hack, 3.5% down. And that one actually works out really well. And we rent out a room too. So we kind of double house hack it. And that equates to about $300 a month in extra income. So we actually live here for free, just pay our electric and water. And then the second deal that we just did was a threeplex that we found off market, kind of. That one's been great. We just got that one fully tenanted out. And so far it's been awesome. I haven't had any trouble or any issues.
Was your fiance always on board with getting into real estate investing, or is this something you had to slowly convince her on?
Yeah. So in the beginning, she was very skeptical. When I found BiggerPockets, I was just really eating it up, and I was trying to get her to get into it. And she's like, "No." We'd be in the car driving. I'd stick a podcast on. She's like, "Please turn that off. I can't deal." So then when I got her to, listen to a couple, I'm like, "Hey, we can do this, and this can totally change our lives, and this is powerful." And she kind of got into it, and she listened to one, and she's like, "Wow, you're right. Let's do this. Like, I'm with you." And then she just jumped on, and now she's fully on board, with our budget and savings and where we're investing our money. And she likes to look at deals, and she sends me deals and likes to talk real estate as well. So it's been really cool having her on board for sure.
That is awesome when you finally have that alignment and you're, share the same goals now, and you're both excited and passionate about real estate. My husband just kind of, he always supported me, but now like this past winter, he's finally like more interested, and we talk about it a lot, and it's a lot more fun that way.
Did you really give him a choice, or was it more like, "Hey, we're doing this"?
No option.
There are times that I'm like, "Oh, I bought a property. I forgot to tell you," because I'm not a good communicator at all. And so he always has to like remind me to do that. But he has his farm, so he might go and buy
It's better than coming home with a brand new Gucci bag or something, or,
Right,
$100
yeah.
shoes. So I would
true.
rather my wife come home with a property than, "Oh, I bought a new Gucci bag or something."
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
$6,000 Louis Vuitton.
God.
Yeah. So what are some of the goals you guys have put together as a couple?
One of our main goals is to be financially independent by 30. And we look at that as about $10,000 a month in passive cash flow. So the rough month on that is about 5.5 doors a year at $250 a month to get us to where we want to be from where we are now. So that's our main goal. And then, we're just trying to get there, really.
I liked how you guys kind of reverse engineered that. So you knew what dollar amount you wanted a month, and then you broke it down. Can you kind of explain a little more about that? How you figured out exactly what you need to do now to get to that number?
So we kind of looked at where we want to be by the time we're 30. I'm 24 and she's 23. So we're like, 6 years from now or whatever. By the time I'm 30, this is where we want to be at. So how are we going to get there? And then we kind of took a look at our market, and in our market, it's not hard to hit 250 a door in cash flow. Actually, all of our properties do more than that. So we kind of took that number on the low end and said, okay, we'll do this. And then, if we get this many a year from there in this many years, we'll be where we want to be. And then we can, we have the option to step away from our jobs if we want to, or, to continue working or however we want to do. But we'll have the option to be out of the rat race, because that's really our biggest why is, freedom. We want freedom, and that's what real estate can provide us. So that's kind of how we came to that conclusion.
Aaron, let me kind of ask a question off the rails real quick, and this doesn't follow our show notes or anything like that. What does freedom mean to you as a real estate investor?
Yeah, so freedom to me as a real estate investor is the ability to not have to work for somebody else if I don't want to. When I have kids and a family, I want the ability to not have to be on call or go into work, or, if they have a game or something that I want to do with them, a vacation or whatever it may be, I want to have the ability to do that when I want to do it and not have to, listen to anybody else just to provide for my family, work 60 hours a week and so on and so forth.
I couldn't agree more. Me and Ashley both have kids that are young. And if you see our our stories and what we do, we spend a lot of time with our family. And, we might not drive Lamborghinis. We might not drive, really nice Teslas. Yet. Right. I'm going to get it. But it is really comforting to be able to spend all day, all week, all month if I want to with my son because of real estate. Now, I do have those calls. There is some days where I spend all day on real estate and I don't see my son that whole day. But it is a choice. And that is an amazing feeling that real estate has given me, where I now have a choice. I can decide I'm not going to see my son all day today, but I'm doing this to build for the family. Or I'm going to spend all day with my son and I'm going to pay the plumber to fix that because I just don't feel like it. And that's such an amazing choice and feeling to have. And I know Ashley's the same way. There's days where I see her out there grinding on her real estate stuff. And then the other day she was out at the lake with her kids throwing them off of jet skis or something. So I love being able to have that option. And I think you see that vision. And I'm so happy that you're talking about that your wife sees that same vision for you guys, because that's so, so important. I think that's great. So I'm going to move us on a little bit, but I think Ashley first has a question.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to add to that, and I think you guys will be able to relate. And I've been thinking a lot about this because I struggle with my why, but is having the choice to do different things. Like, one word that really comes to mind is being spontaneous. I want to be able to say, hey, kids, tomorrow we're going to the cabin or anything like that. That's really what I want to see my life as. And it's slowly getting there. It's definitely a lot better than it was 2 years ago. That's the word I like to use, is spontaneous, so that I can do whatever I want when I want.
Just like she spontaneously brings deals home to her husband. Hey, I spontaneously bought a property.
Spontaneously got something. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
That's a great way to explain it. That's awesome. Yeah. So true.
Yeah. I had to share because I've spent so much time thinking about it. Go ahead, Felipe. Move us on.
Oh, Ashley. Let's interview Ashley, Aaron. Help me interview. No, I'm just kidding. Do you have a deal in mind that we're going to talk about? A good rookie deal that we can get some nuts and bolts on and really add some value to our listeners?
Yeah, so we can do the one that was just closed on July 16th. That one work.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that.
Like I said, I partnered with that one on one of my really good friends. We've been friends for a long time. We also work together. So he actually found the deal. It's in our hometown, which is about 30 minutes north of where I live now. And I said I'd never invest there, but he still lives there. And he's like, would you look at the market? And I was like, yeah, sure. He's kind of going through and he finds this property and he sends it to me. And I'm like, whoa, this right off the top, I could tell it busted the 1% rule. And I knew that it had good numbers. They were asking 121. It was for sale by owner. I could tell it was 2 bed, 1 bath, 3 units. And I knew that each one on the low end could rent for 600 to 750. I was like, okay, this could work. So we ran the numbers together and I was kind of showing him how running the numbers work, because he's getting really into real estate and BiggerPockets himself. So he's like, call him. Let's see what we can do. So I called the owner and she was just an elderly lady that had retired, moving to Florida. She was in her later 70s, her and her husband. And she was just getting rid of everything. They had like 25 properties. So, I called her. I'm like, can I come see this, please? And she said, yeah, you can come see it tomorrow. I'm like, sounds great. So we go look at it. And it's basically turnkey. He doesn't need anything. So I was very surprised. Yeah. And I'm like, so I took a contract with me and I started negotiating the price with her. She was asking 121. I kind of knew that she was done with it and wanted to get out of it. So I was like, what's your bottom dollar? And me and him had talked that we wanted to pay 110 for it. So we get her down to 110 and I'm like, okay, let's close this deal. So we go back to her house. We signed the contract. Didn't have any financing or anything. Just put it under contract. Found the deal. So I was going to find the money next. I called my lender, the one I used on the FHA property. And I'm like, hey, can you get me financed? And he's great he's got me into like 2 or 3 places with pre-approvals. He said, yeah, I'll get it financed. Well, come to find out, that property is it's a duplex and a single family house, and it's on one parcel. So it doesn't pass conventional financing. And they were marketing it as trying to get a USDA loan as a 4-bed, 2-bath house with an in-law suite.
Oh, wow.
That's how they had it posted to sell it, which I knew wasn't right when I looked at it.
Yeah.
But they had like a split door that goes upstairs and downstairs, and they have like a split door in the middle. So you can open that door or close it. So
was it separately metered or the same meter for that duplex?
Electric separate, water is all 1 meter. So my lender's like, I can't get you financed. He said, with COVID restrictions, things are tight right now. Previously, I probably could have pushed it through, but now they're not going to do it. So I'm like, crap. Okay. So he gives me some local banks to call local banks. I get offered a 5-1 ARM on it. And I really didn't want to take that loan with a 15-year amortization. And they wanted 30% down, which is, I was looking at paying 20% down with about a 4% rate. And they wanted over 6. So
wow.
I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Yeah, it's not the same deal anymore. So I called her back. And when we were negotiating, I had mentioned seller financing to her, and she said, no, absolutely not, won't do it. So I call her back and I'm like, here's what I can do. This is what happened. I can buy the property at $95,000. You drop the price, I'll buy it on the 5-1 ARM, or we can do seller financing. We'll give you $25,000 down, and we'll do 3% for 15 years. And she said, let me call you back. I'm going to talk to my husband. Calls me back later that day and says, we'll do the seller financing deal.
3%.
3%.
Yeah.
Yes, 3%.
No closing costs.
Crushing it.
No.
Great
Her
job.
stipulation
Out of the park.
Her stipulation was I had to pay for the lawyer because she said she wanted her lawyer to do the contract. And I was like, fine, we were going to do that anyways.
What does that what would that cost?
So many questions that we have now.
It costed $350 for the closing cost and $150 for the title search. So $500.
Right. Yeah.
And then the lawyer fee was how much?
$350. That was it.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
That's to draw the contract and everything.
Wow.
So, I like this because you didn't go back to the seller and say, hey, this is what we can do, take it or leave it. Or this is my only option. This is what I got. You went back to the seller and put the ball in her court and said, hey, these are some options that we can take. I can go the bank route. I can go your route. And the tax implications that she and yourself just saved by doing seller financing. Now she gets a check for the next 15 years. You have 15 years if you want to figure out about maybe refinancing it or doing whatever you want to do. It opens up so many more doors to do seller financing when you cut out the bank. And I think if most people, here's the thing. I think a lot of people don't do seller financing, and Ashley, you can tell me if you think differently. I think a lot of people don't do seller financing because they are not educated on the the outcome of it and how great it is for everyone. I think in a seller financing deal, everyone wins. Now, 3%, I don't know, Aaron. You kind of gave yourself a little bit more than you, but I still think
she took it. So I'm like, okay,
we're gonna do it.
I was expecting to negotiate. I mean, she asked me what the bank offered me, and they said, my banker said if he said anywhere from 3 to 4. So I was like, well, the bank said 3 to 4, and I was like, I'd like to do 3.
But what's really good is you don't know this person's situation, and now you might have just relieved some stress for her by saying, you know what, I'm gonna give you this check every single month for the next 15 years. I mean, that's great.
And she wanted to move to Florida. So they were already out the door moving to Florida, and they had the property just sitting, not renting it because they couldn't manage it anymore. And, she was ready to go. She's like, can we close now? I just want to go to Florida and live the rest of my life. And I'm like, yeah, let's get it done.
That's amazing. That's perfect. What a great option to give. For every seller, there's a buyer, but for every buyer, I also think there's a seller. And if you can just work it out with, I don't remember what episode it was on the OG podcast, but I'll never forget. I used to be a mover, and I was on a moving job listening to this podcast, and this gentleman told Brandon Turner was like, in every real estate deal, you have to figure out what it is that the seller really wants, because it's not always money. Sometimes it's a clear conscience. Sometimes it's their kids' financial education. I mean, it's always something, and it's not always just monetary money gain, if you will. And I think you might have just given this lady what she needed. She just wanted 15 years of a check every single month while she's, sipping martinis down in Florida or something. So, I need people listen to that. That's great.
Did you do anything, Aaron, to kind of prove to her or show her that you were financially stable and could make these payments, and that you weren't gonna just foreclose on the property and let it run into shambles?
Not particularly. I didn't show her any income or anything, but when I told her we'd put $25,000 down, that kind of made her feel more comfortable. And then if she called me, like right now, if she called me, I'd take her call. If she texts me and she has a problem, I'm right there. I do not let her go out of the, I don't let her be out of the circle. I keep her.
And you said she has other properties too?
She had 25. Her and her husband sold 25. They owned a construction business too. They're pretty wealthy people, but so I just make sure that I'm Johnny on the spot for her. She's older. She doesn't understand things. She wanted things done a certain way. I really wanted to send her the payment every month, but she refuses and says, please just deposit it in my bank account. It's done. I'm not going to do anything to make her think that I'm not the man for the job.
And that's not a hard thing to do, is to accommodate those little things at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, she gave me a great deal. She even let us, we closed on the 16th. She said, oh, don't pay me till September, give you a month to get tenants in. Super nice people. They're good, great people. So, I do everything I can to make life easy for her. And I think that went a long way too. Just being honest, and always, if she called, I did not push her call off. It didn't matter what I was doing. I took the call and said, hey, what can I do to make this easy for you? I'll do all the work. Just, let me take the deal.
Except when you're on the, real estate rookie show, right?
This
might be the one time that
this is pretty important. This is important.
I think that is a really great tip, just highlighting that, you're catering to her needs, because it's not that big of an inconvenience to you at all. Yeah. And too bad they already sold those 25 other properties, because you probably could have been part of those deals
asked,
too.
I said, do you guys have anything left? And they're like, no. Do you have any friends with anything?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to tell everybody what you're doing, what you want. Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's key. So key. Found so many connections just by doing that, just by talking to people.
Aaron, so what happened next? Yeah, like Ashley was saying, what's going on next? What's happening now?
We got the property, and as soon as we got it the same day, it was turnkey. It was ready to go. So we spun around and made a listing and put it on Facebook. I use Cozy for most property management applications. So we threw it on Facebook, and we started high. So we started at 750, which I knew was top end. So we actually got some kickback off that. People thought it was too overpriced. So we didn't get any applications really. So we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, let's change it up. So we changed each price for each unit, because there was some nicer unit, one nicer unit, another nicer unit, and a less nice unit. So we changed up the pricing. And as soon as we did that and posted it back on Facebook, it just went off, like on a county rentals page. So it's Scott County, Indiana. We posted it on the rentals page, and it took off from there. We had like 40 comments, 50 shares, people blowing me up all day, wanting to see it. I did have some trouble with the application process, because people didn't want to actually go online and do it. So, but we got it fully tenanted now.
That kind of weeds out the real applicants, though. Whoever isn't motivated to actually go and fill it out.
Yeah, if you can't fill out the application online, or it's not working for me, I'm like, no, it's definitely working for you. I've done it myself. It's working. So
and other people are submitting their application.
Yeah. So we've got some great tenants in there, and everything's going good. We've had some issues. We did have to replace a fridge. We had to replace a water heater the other day, had to do a little toilet maintenance, but all in all, we're doing well. So,
Aaron, what's still left to come? I love if it was just about the refrigerator.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some more horror stories later.
Yeah, for sure. The guy I partnered with, he's got some construction background. I do not. We did a 50-50 split on that, and he kind of handles the maintenance. I handle the taxes, accounting, finance stuff. So that's been great for me, because I can't swing a hammer. So
for property management, you're doing it yourself. You're using Cozy. What other systems do you have in place? What do your tenants do when they have that maintenance issue? Are they calling your partner directly? Are they submitting something online? How does that process work?
They call or text me or him. He lives 10 minutes away. I live 30 to 40 minutes. So they call or text him, or they call or text me. And then, from there, we figure out what's the best option to get it fixed. We like to take care of it very timely. I know, like something that kind of stuck with me from the OG podcast is a quote. I don't remember who said it, but he said, treat every property like you have, or treat every tenant like you only have one, and treat every property like you have 100. And that's kind of how we've been just running our business for the most part. It's trying to be on it, trying to be the best landlords in town, because we want that name for ourselves.
So you have all your tenants in place now. What are you cash flowing per month on this property?
So from that deal, we both make $510 a month off that deal.
That's great. So over $1,000 your cash flowing.
$20 total. Yeah, I mean it's crazy the price on that. It's a 47% cash on cash return, because we both have about 13,000 in it after everything. So yeah,
that's really exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's interesting, Aaron. A lot of people talk about, I can't find deals in my market, or, the $100 a door is just impossible to find right now. And I hear story after story after story of like what you're just saying. I don't get less than $500 per door on every single one of my rental properties. I'm not going to buy it if I don't make $500 a door. Yeah, so what you're saying is you've created that norm by yourself, and it all started from the beginning. like the way you structure the deal, the partner, like the whole bit is very important, all the way to now you're getting this cash on cash return, you're getting this cash flow. And it's really important because you've structured everything, in that way. So speaking about this deal, can you give some of our listeners a little wisdom on how maybe they should find a deal like this, or how to find a deal like this?
I would say set your metrics first. Set your metrics of what you want and don't bend. Get that metric every time, because the deals are out there. Just don't be lazy. Go find them because they're out there. Hit the MLS. I'm on a realtor drip. Drive for dollars, Craigslist, Facebook. I'm on all of it every single day, talking to people. I work in retail, so if somebody comes in, I've met contractors. I met a hard money lender the other day. I'm just talking to everybody. If I get a second to talk to you, do you know anybody that has any property for sale? Do you do anything with property? Especially if I can see that they're like construction workers or something like that. The deals are out there. They just got to be found. So that would be my suggestion.
That's 100% right.
I 100% agree. I said I would 100% agree with you, because I've actually found a couple of my deals from word of mouth where, it was someone who knew that I invested that approached me with the deals, and I got a great off-market deal on 2 fully rehabbed duplexes.
Oh, nice.
So I think that the networking and telling everyone what you have, on the back of my business card, it says, I buy rental properties on the back.
Nice.
And I throw them out everywhere.
Yeah.
I leave them where I can, or, if I give them to someone, that it's right there. So yeah, that's great advice for everyone, is just tell everyone what you're doing, what you're looking for, and what you want. And it will be amazing, the deals that come to you. And even if it's not specifically a deal, it could lead to, a contractor or somehow a connection of, building your team. So what's kind of the next step for you? Are you looking to partner on more deals, do stuff by yourself? Are you building a team? What does that look like?
Actually, everything. So I just met with the CPA last week to start getting that set up. Got the lender, who's great. And then met with a couple contractors. So I haven't done any reno yet. So I'm really excited about that. I want to do a burr on the next deal, a small multifamily burr, 2 to 4 units. Rehab it. Actually, the partner that I used on this last deal, he took a HELOC on his property, got a line of credit. So he got tapped into about 40 grand. And then I've got cash put back as well. So between the two of us, we're going to kind of step into a deal that way. And we're debating using a hard money lender just to learn the process. And then we'll have our money put back if we need it. We're trying to really grow the business, get our name out there. Like I said, we got the accountant, so we talked to him about what we needed to do for LLCs and stuff of that nature, and kind of got some direction there. And then we got the lawyer we use for the title company as our real estate attorney as well. So yeah, I mean, we're looking to grow and find deals. And we'd like to close on at least 10 doors this year. Hopefully could do more, but that's kind of our minimum goal, is 10 doors.
You're going to get there, Aaron. I can already see it. But before we get to our MVP, I did have a question.
Yeah.
In our show notes, we have something about you actually lost your job while funding this deal. Can you kind of dig into that a little bit?
So that was the first deal that me and my fiance did on the house hack duplex that we live in now. Yeah, we searched for 6 months to find this deal. We found the one that we wanted, and we go into closing. We actually lost our real estate agent too during the process. So thank God our lender was there, because he kind of held our hands. I was 22, she was 21. We didn't know what we were doing. And then I was an intern, and the company I was working for, I was paid, but I was an intern, actually started to kind of go under. They laid off 25 people and they shut down their intern program. And they kind of let me know, hey, you got 2 weeks. And it was the last day was the week of my closing. So my lender calls me and he's like, hey, I know that you're about to lose your job. What's going on? We're not going to be able to close this loan. So I'm like, I want to close this loan. How can we close it? What do we got to do? You let me know. There's an Amazon plant like right by my house, and they hire like a fulfillment center, and they hire like on the spot. So I went down there, got a job. He's like, I need 2 weeks of paychecks. I'm like, man, that's not going to work. But at the same time, my fiance got a promotion. So I said, can we put this all in her name? He said, yeah. So we reran the loan, another 30-day closing. He said, let me call the seller and talk to them. So he called the seller, and I guess he worked some magic, and the seller's like, okay, it's fine. And we pushed it back another 30 days, eventually got the loan closed. It was a mess, but we got it done. Yeah.
That is a great lender right there, willing to, do that extra bit to help you. Yeah.
Yes. He's the best.
Aaron, it's about those relationships for sure, but I want people to see that it's not about giving up. You had plenty of reasons why, hey, I lost my job, I can't get the deal. It's too much money, the lender. There's always a reason why not, but you have to push through those things to make it in real estate. I've yet to hear a story of like, it was cookie cutter, super easy. I got my property and then I moved on. There's always something you have to push through. And I think that's what really weeds out, real estate investors that are going to make it and those that don't. And I love that you said that you lost your job, but you put it in your wife's name. You went out and got a job at Amazon. I mean, you did whatever you had to do to fulfill that lender's requirements, and with a little stroke of luck from the lender. But, I would go as far as to say that the lender saw the hustle and grind in you and wanted this for you. I bet that lender just doesn't do that for anyone, but he saw the drive, the hustle, the can do, will do anything attitude that you had. And that's why he pushed for this loan, because it's no skin off of his back.
Yeah, and that you want to buy more properties, and he wants to continue that relationship with you.
Yeah, I let him know that too. I said, I plan on buying more. This isn't the first one. We're thinking about now maybe doing another house hack. So, and I preach him. If anybody says, "Hey, I'm getting a house or something," I say, go talk to Ken, because he's the man. He took care of me. If I need anything, I bet I could call him today and he'd have me a pre-approval in the next hour. So
it's that hustle and that grind though, because I know lenders that are like, no, sorry, you don't meet the criteria. And I'm like, okay, great, but can you give me an option of how I can? I mean, so those are the difference between finding good lenders and those lenders that don't care, and they're just going to be like, oh, well, I can close 100 of these. I don't. So that relationship that you have with the lender, I think is great. But let's move on. I'm assuming I might know who your MVP is, but I don't know. Yeah. But it's time for this part of the show where we learn about a key player on your team, an agent, a lender, a handyman, whatever you want to do it. We call this segment of the show the MVP. Oh, come on, Ashley. I was waiting for you to do it.
I did do it.
All right, Aaron, who is the MVP for you?
So I got to give a shout out to Brandon Turner, because when I found him, it kicked me right over the edge to let me know where to go when I found Brandon Turner in the podcast. But the MVP so far has been my lender, Ken Aaron's at Republic Mortgage. So he really, I mean, he carried me through it. There were some struggles, and like we talked about, he was there, and that's been important to me. But I don't really have a mentor or anything. There's a guy in my market that I met at a meetup who actually, he just linked me with the CPA, and he let me come look at his flip. And he's kind of, I would say probably 3-4 steps ahead of me. So it's cool to see him. And I talk to him probably once every other month. So he's been really, really cool. And then of course my fiance, she's thebomb.com. And then, my other family, my mom's great. Everyone's supportive. So yeah, I'd say all that together, it's a team. For sure.
With the lender, what would be your advice for everyone as to how to find a lender like that? Should they interview, talk to lenders, or just so happen that, he worked out? Did you do anything specific before working with him?
So he actually was presented to me from the agent that we worked with that ended up not working out for us. And I just stuck with him because how he was better than her at responding and talking and, getting things done for us. But I would say, if you're talking to your lender and they're not willing to help you when you call, or they're not willing to answer your phone on the weekends, or they're not willing to go that extra step, that you need to find a new lender. If someone tells you no, go call another one. I called like 30 banks when I was trying to buy this other property before I got seller financing. Somebody will do it. You'll find somebody that'll give you some terms you like eventually.
Yeah, whether that's the bank or the seller or private money guy.
Just persistence. It's persistence. Yes. Don't give up.
I think sometimes when people are starting out, they forget that everyone started somewhere. Everyone had that first lender believe in them to do that first deal. We all started with one property, and before that, we used a lender, or we had to find financing somehow. I rarely know anyone that had, $200,000 in cash to go buy a property, so it's about building that relationship 100%. So I agree, man. That's a great MVP. That's awesome. Let's move on now to the rookie request line. You can reach us anytime at 1-888-5-ROOKIE. Leave us a voicemail, and we might use it on the next show. All right, Aaron, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, my name's Tyler out of Austin, Texas. I'm calling to ask guys to explain mechanics behind seller financing from start to finish. If I find a deal, an off-market deal, how would I propose to go about seller financing?
First, you got to ask the seller if they're willing to do it, and then you got to negotiate the terms with them. There's no agent or liaison between you two. So it's kind of just going head to head with them and seeing what they're willing to do, what they're willing to bend on, and what you're willing to bend on. But after that, you set up on an agreed amount of terms. And then for me, I don't think you have to use a lawyer. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I wanted to just to be safe in my contract. So I called a lawyer who also worked with a title company. And I think it depends on your state if you use a lender or a title company, but he does both. So I called him and I'm like, hey, this is what I want to do. Can you do this for me? And he's like, yeah, that's no problem. Give me a couple of days. I'll draw the contract up. You guys meet, we'll sign it. And we'll go over everything with both parties and we'll do the title search for you. I'd never done it before. So I kind of just told him, I was like, hey, I don't really know how this works, but I hope you're going to tell me. So, and then he walked through everything with me. It was so simple. I expected it to be kind of difficult. Like I said, it cost $350 for him to draw the contract, and he went over with both parties. We spent about 30 minutes talking, made sure everybody was fine with everything. If I had any questions, I asked him and he answered them. That was really it. There wasn't a whole lot to it.
Yeah, I've done a couple seller financing too, and it's really just drawing up the note and having the terms in there and the payment plan. I mean, it's really not, definitely not as intricate as getting a mortgage from the bank at all.
Absolutely not. So much easier than getting a mortgage.
Most attorneys are able to put this together for you fairly cheaply and easily too. And sometimes you might even run into the situation where the seller's attorney might go ahead and do that and the seller is paying for it too, if you're lucky. Okay, let's move on to our random questions. Felipe, do you want to take the first question?
This part, we like to ask some real estate related questions, kind of to get to know you a little bit better. Can you tell us what are your 2 or 3? It can be an app, it can be your phone, an Excel sheet. What are the top 3 things of technology that you use for real estate to help you, in your investing?
So I use Stessa. I don't know if you guys have ever used it, but I actually found it from the podcast, one of the ads, and it's great. I link it to my bank accounts. It manages my portfolio. It manages all expenses. I can upload that into like an income statement, balance sheet, a tax preparedness kit, and I can also put pictures of receipts. It tracks everything from every account, so I don't even have to worry about it. So I love Stessa. I use Deal Check to check deals because it's a really quick way just to put them in on your phone. I was using Deal Machine for a minute when driving for dollars, but now I'm kind of doing it the hard way because I didn't want to pay the money, but it's a good app. It's great.
It pulls the information from Zillow, right?
Yeah.
Deal Check. Sure, So like if there is information on the property on Zillow, it pulls it into your report automatically when you calculate
Deal Check,
it.
Comes straight through onto Deal Check. I like that app too.
Yeah. I use that too.
I'm on my phone a lot. My AirPods are very important because at work I just have an AirPod in and I got you guys going all day, or the BiggerPockets podcast. I listen to the business, the money, I listen to all of them. So
right, yeah, awesome, cool.
I constantly have podcasts going too.
So my question for you is, what is one bucket list item you want to cross off, but specific to real estate? Is there a kind of strategy you want to get into with real estate, or something you want to try doing?
My end goal is to 1031 exchange all these smaller properties, these small multifamilies, into larger multifamily deals, like 20 to 50 units. I like to, the economies of scale, getting everything under one roof. That's kind of my goal in the end. Yeah, for sure.
My question would be, Aaron, and we've asked this question before, and I love asking this question. If you could have a drink with anybody, dead or alive, real estate, not real estate, who would it be?
Oh, it's easy. Say Brandon.
I want to say Brandon, but I don't want to be cliche. It's Brandon. Yeah, it's Brandon. It is. Yeah. I didn't want to be cliche, but it's Brandon. Yeah.
What would you ask him?
Man, I would just ask him, how he got started and, his motivation. And I mean, there would be a ton of stuff. I would probably have to sit down and write a list because I would just ask him, I'd be bombarding him with questions.
Don't be
just talking to
surprised.
him. I mean, he's a very clever guy and he's very good at real estate. So, I mean, just talking with him, I think I would learn a ton. So, yeah.
I struggle with this question. Like Felipe and I have talked about it before, and I could think of like people I'd want to talk to, but to make value of their time and to not waste it. I have a hard time thinking of what those questions would be. Yeah. And not to like poke at what you said, but like the first thing you said was how he got started. Like, I'm sure if all of us went back, we could listen to all these different podcasts and hear that, but it's also different coming from him directly face to face. And no matter what he says, you're going to pull value from it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, anything he said, I've listened to the podcast where he talks about his story. So I kind of know it, but just the little intricate details that you can't get out on the podcast and just some different stuff. I mean, anything it's going to be valuable. So yeah, for sure.
For the last question, what is one fear or self-doubt that you've overcome or are trying to overcome as a real estate investor?
I would say my biggest fear is being stuck in the rat race. I don't want to be stuck in the rat race. I want to get out of it as fast as possible. Not hitting my goals is a fear of mine. I don't want to look back and say, man, I could have done better. Or sometimes I worry that I'm not working hard enough. So I'm like, I could do this or I could do that. Or look and compare myself to people. And I'm like, look at them. I could be there if I would just work harder. So I think that's probably one of my biggest fears is that I'm not doing enough and then I'll get stuck in the rat race for sure.
I can understand that, man. I know for me growing up below middle class, I don't want to say poor because that's defined differently, but like I always tell the story that I always felt like the water was at my throat, right? If you're in a pool, like I was never drowning, but I knew at any slip or any strong wave, like I'd have to really hold my breath. And real estate has dropped that water more to my waist or my knees. So I have a little bit more like, okay, yeah, let's get that coffee. Let's go out to dinner. No worries.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I get it, man. I sometimes have that fear myself as well. Like, oh my gosh, if I make the wrong move, like what can happen? Or so it's really hard to get out of that mindset. I'd love to read a book on how to like get over that because I feel like sometimes that holds me back. Like I'll do 2 or 3 flips at a time, but I won't do like 7 or 8 because I'm scared I'm going to lose it all type of thing. Right. So like, I'd love to like kind of get over that. If anybody has a book that would help with that, I mean, let me know. I love to read. But hey, let me ask you this, Aaron. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask me or Ashley? I know we're not as cool as Brandon and all.
Oh no, you guys are up there. Believe me, I was shaking coming on the podcast. So guys, I listen to you guys every day. So I don't really have any questions. No.
You'll think about 100 questions after the show. You'll be like, no, I should have asked them.
As soon as this is over, I'll have 100,000 questions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why he asks it and he doesn't tell anyone before so that there are no questions that we have to answer.
I'm like, yes. All right, great.
Good call.
Well, Aaron, can you tell everyone at least where they can find out some more information about you?
I've never really been a big social media guy, so I'm kind of working on that, right? So I'm going to try to build out an Instagram or whatever. I'm on Facebook, just Aaron Chapman. And then I'm on BiggerPockets as Aaron Chapman as well. I'm in the real estate rookie groups and the official group and, a bunch of stuff like that. So that'd probably be the best place to reach me for sure.
Before we end it, can you give us one last advice I want you to be specific to someone who is your age, maybe they're starting their life with their spouse. What is one piece of advice you can give them to get into that mindset of growing wealth, getting out of the rat race?
One piece of advice to get out of the rat race, I would say just look at your life and sit down and say, where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want my family to be? And then sit down and write those goals out and say, okay, well, now how can I achieve those goals? And then go through, like I hear Brandon say it all the time, amends like a most important next step. Go to that and then just do it. Don't make it huge. Just make it small and break it down into small chunks and then wipe it out as you go. And, you'll be there before you know it. And you'll be like, wow, this is actually working. This is happening. So, and
then it gets exciting to think about. Once it's not overwhelming anymore, thinking about that big chunk and you break it down, like you said, into those little chunks, it becomes exciting as you get closer and closer and kind of like chip away at it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron, for being on the show today. We had a great time and we look forward to seeing your journey and how you guys grow and hopefully COVID doesn't cancel your wedding.
Hopefully
You're
not.
lucky to have it into October though. At least it wasn't the spring or summer.
I know. Right. I'm happy about that. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's been a real honor. So yeah, thanks.
I'm Ashley at Wealth from Rentals, and he's Felipe at Felipe Mejia, REI. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.